Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Oh dear, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from a deleted user who says, mother-in-law sneaking in our house and is now trying to get her house back. Hello, so I will try to make this short if possible. I'm a bit confused as to how I should continue this relationship. First of all, I'm male. My wife is 50-50 split between having her head deep in her mother's butt and not wanting to have anything to do with her. It's complicated. My relationship to mother-in-law was always awkward. She didn't want her precious daughter to leave home and build up her own family, so she always tried to shackle my wife as near to her as possible, and used every possible trick up her sleeve to achieve exactly that. From fake illness to emotional stirrups to last-second unnoticed vacations we had to come with, and my wife not once until now grasped what her mother was doing was wrong. So, around 6 months ago, mother-in-law and father-in-law bought a new house, smaller one, as they didn't need all that space at their old home. At first, I wasn't interested in their house, but somehow my mother-in-law convinced my wife to convince me to buy the house from them, so we can buy cheap and live with one less worry. I was completely against the purchase of that house. It was incredibly near to the new home, 30 minutes walking distance, and the amount they asked for, $450,000, was not justified for the state the house was in. Long story short, my wife got extremely upset with me not wanting the house, and I just gave up and said yes. So yay, we own a house now. For info, we got the keys, documents, everything is on paper. Nothing is in their name anymore. It's all on us now. And for the past few months of us moving in, renovating a bit here and there, all seemed well. They never came to visit, we always visited them, and the house was fine after some work. Still a lot to fix. But I noticed a few things. Whenever we are gone for more than 8+ hours or a few days and then return to the house, it seems like someone was inside. I could have sworn some of my stuff was moved. A few times it smelled like gas, as if I left something on in the kitchen running and the sink in one of the bathrooms was wet. Even so, I always wipe it dry after using. Even my wife found it odd, and after the gas incident, she was alarmed. So I figured mother-in-law has probably a key still in her possession that we don't know of, and she snoops around. I bought 2 cheap cameras and installed them so I could see the entrance and the living room, as those two are connected. Plus, as someone suggested on here, I changed out the locks buying completely new secure doors and having them changed out as well as a new window security, as all of those were old. 2 days after everything was changed, I got a text from mother-in-law saying that I'm an evil person trying to destroy everything she loves, and that she wants the house back from us, and she isn't tolerating how we are treating her old property. I asked her where this came from all of a sudden, and her answer was, "You're destroying our old home. The door was a precious memento, and we shouldn't have changed it without asking her first." I told her that the house was no longer hers and we could do whatever we wanted. Didn't hear back from her until now. She now wants her house back because apparently we're not fit to be homeowners. She has given us back $430,000 of the $450,000 as they already spent $20,000 and want everything back. I told her to go eat grass and that the home is now ours. I already had the police at my door. Can you imagine what it looked like for me to explain to them that this house was legally mine? They fucking laughed. And the worst, my wife says to just get the old door back in. I don't get my mother-in-law that I'm okay with, but I don't know how my wife can be so deep up in her bullshit. If it were me, I would go no contact and leave it at that, but my wife is just glued to her. I can't even enjoy marriage anymore. It just doesn't feel like her. It feels like her, I, and her batshit mother. Father-in-law is alright, just a normal person. Most of the time, fed up with mother-in-law's bullshit too, but he can't be bothered to actually hold her back. I'm stressed, angry, and really disappointed. Advice, please. I think it sort of goes without saying first of all that you don't change the door back, just don't give in to any of her demands at all, and just don't pay attention to her bullshit. And mother-in-law just sounds absolutely unhinged. And it really feels like mother-in-law has created this dynamic with your wife where she feels like she's shackled to her. And it's a situation wife probably feels like she can't get out of. She feels like she has to please mother-in-law and clearly needs some assistance with that. And I wonder if you can sit down with some sort of professional together so you can express your feelings about how this is currently damaging your marriage and will only get worse if it continues. And Adore being a precious memento, she's just absolutely trying to control everything in your lives. Holy moly. But we're going to cover a couple of comments, then we're going to move on to the update to find out what happened next. But Not the Glamour says, how the hell is an exterior door a precious memento? Bullshit. A photograph of the thing would serve perfectly well. Hope you reply saying never was one. It was just an excuse to make me install the old door and therefore the old lock back. Never did it and just gave her the door to pretend playing along with a memento BS. Christmas Shopper says therapy, quickly. You must rescue your wife from the fog before it destroys your relationship and they can have the house back for $475,000 and nothing goes back to any way it was before. You change it to be the way you want it, as you would any house you bought. Mother-in-law is just mad she can't snoop. EJP says your wife needs therapy now, not later. She has to stand up to her mother's abuse and that's what this is. I love the idea of gifting the mother-in-law the door for Christmas, minus the lock and cylinder. Be upbeat and excited about it when you do it and tell her you solved her problem. Don't have kids. If your wife can't stand up for herself against this witch, she'll never survive children. Do tell your wife that this is a make or break issue. She appears to need incentive to get help. And a deleted user says couples counseling ASAP. Wife needs to pull her head out of her mummy's backside. It's really hard to do that, so an impartial professional can give her the tools to do it. If you can get couples counseling going, after a while a full family therapy session with you, your wife and the in-laws could help establish healthy boundaries. As far as mother-in-law, you seem to be doing everything pretty well. Under no circumstances should mother-in-law be allowed into your home again. That'd be my hill to die on. At least until she's actually made a real apology and taken steps to change her behavior. And even then, I wouldn't trust it for a long time. Torch the old door or take it to the dump. Document everything. Check on the legality of recording someone in your location. If she ramps up the crazy, let the local law enforcement know the situation and keep those cameras recording pretty much everywhere always. Fake police reports of spousal abuse or calls that wife may be missing are not unheard of in this sub. Not trying to freak you out, just to cover your butt. Edited to add, I completely agree with some other commenters. Be extra super careful with birth control until this is handled. Mother-in-law can be crazy. Spouses with crazy mother-in-laws can be crazy themselves because the fog makes a person crazy. Best not to add an unplanned pregnancy in to enhance the crazy. And then there was also a lot of comments just saying, put the door through a wood chipper and send her the shavings. But we'll go to the update next to find out what happened next. So it starts off with, so quite a lot has happened since yesterday. I stopped answering most comments as I was just taking in everyone's advice, thoughts, and my own experiences. First, some info again. Some people were concerned dropping off the door would mean she could copy the keys. Not possible as both the door and locks were replaced with high security keys. I know a locksmith could still duplicate them, but that would take some time. Some were worried about birth control. Don't worry, I can't even think of sex right now. Concerning security, no, I did not catch mother-in-law on camera. I installed them in conjunction with the change of the door and locks, and I don't see a point in spending money on more cameras, ring doorbells, etc. Some asked if mother-in-law had more children. Nope, single child. I paid the entire $450K. My wife didn't pay for the house, renovations, nothing. She bounces from one job to another, trying to find something fitting. This has always been the case. I don't mind supporting her, but I feel a bit leeched off sometimes. Now to the actual update. I called father-in-law and asked him if he would meet me for a coffee and that I wanted to talk. Bless him, he did exactly that. We sat down. I asked him to please just listen and not interrupt. I must have talked for close to 2 hours. This man sipped his coffee, listened, sighed, and said the following in short. Mother-in-law's plan was to sell us the house, rebuy it, making us literally homeless, so we couldn't say no to her offer, so we could live with her and father-in-law. Father-in-law did try to hold mother-in-law back but failed. He was extremely upset about the police call, upset about only offering $430k back, and upset in general that she's going this far to shackle her daughter. His offer and advice: take mother-in-law's $430k offer. I will set up a legally binding contract under father-in-law and myself. He will give me the $20k plus what I put in reservations etc. without mother-in-law knowing. That would bring me close to $500k. He told me to pack it up and just leave after a stern talk with the wife. She won't wake up if it's me versus mother-in-law, as long as one of us is in close proximity. He looked sad and upset. We hugged at the end and he told me not to be too saddened by all of this, and sometimes we need to make hard decisions and I would regret it if I didn't do this. There was more talk obviously, but this is the short and interesting part. Back home, I talked with my wife, a calm tone and manner. She didn't see no evil from her mother, said her mother needs a lot of attention and love like most elderly ladies, and oftentimes she sounds meaner than she actually is, but that she only wants the best for us. Us. No, what's best for her, and only her own intentions. We argued a bit back and forth, and my wife is 100% behind her mother and said I should get some therapy to get out of the obsession I have with demonizing her mother. I stood up and left, slept at a friend's at night. I offered couples and individual counseling. It was denied. Apparently, I'm the only one that needs special attention, as she called it. I guess that's exactly what I need. Special attention. By myself, for myself. I already messaged father-in-law. It's not worth it. Thank you everyone. Thank you for taking the time and helping out and listening to someone you don't know. I might take this homeless opportunity and money to get out a bit, explore and breathe freely for once. And that ending left me incredibly frustrated. I thought that was the end, so I was looking through the thread because it's a deleted user, so I couldn't go to their profile to see if they added any more extra info anywhere, and I just couldn't find anything. But then one comment shared that there was an additional update which was recovered, which says, "Hello. It's been 4 months now since I came back here to ask for advice. Maybe some of you will still remember what it was about. Well, a lot happened. As you know, father-in-law offered to repay me behind his wife's back. Well, at first I thought I'd just take this offer and move on. But after reading what some of you wrote about how it sounded too good to be true and why I should give in, I refused. I don't want this to get too long, so here's what happened the past 4 months. I kicked my wife out, back at her mother's. I still own the house, got all the repairs and changes done. Since then, I've been renting it out. Gave her her old precious Memento door back. Ex-mother-in-law got handcuffed and had a nice drive in a police car after she tried to assault the new house tenants, as this was her house. Just 2 weeks ago, my ex-wife tried to contact me and how she can't keep living with her mother, but she doesn't have enough income to live on her own. Have been traveling a lot after I got everything sorted out. Been to northern and southern Germany, met tons of nice people and saw some beautiful remote places. All in all, life after kicking out my then wife has been good. I never realized how shackled thoughts and actions were while being with her after we moved closer to her parents. I now live in a nice 2.5-room apartment near a small city, enjoy myself and take everything slowly, focus on work, myself and just relaxing for once. You wouldn't believe how happy I am that we never had children together. And I got to say, I feel relieved that OP got out of that situation and went on to enjoy their life and do what they needed to do. And one day, ex-wife is likely to realize what she's given up for her mother, and one day, hopefully for her own benefit, hopefully she seeks therapy for one, but that she realizes how much her mum is just controlling her. Because whilst I'm not excusing any of her behavior at all, I do find it incredibly sad. But what do you guys make of this one? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And our next story is a bit of a chill one from a throwaway account which says, "I'm a waitress and I, female 24, have a huge crush on a regular customer. Help." So I, female 24, work part-time as a waitress, trying to pay off student loans, and have a huge crush on a guy who tends to come in for breakfast or lunch a couple of times a week on the days I'm working. He's handsome, super sweet, and I'm pretty sure he's single, but I'm not 100% sure. If I had to guess, I'd say he's 25 to 27. I've gotten to know him a little bit since we sometimes talk if I'm not too busy. He said he moved here a few months ago. I'd love to ask him out, but I have no idea how, and plus, I get really nervous around him. Whenever he comes in, my manager always makes sure I get him since she knows I have a big crush on him. His bill is usually between $8 and $9, but he always pays with a $20 and tells me to keep the change. Do you think that might be a sign he likes me? My manager said she's seen him drive in a really expensive sports car a couple of times, so the large tip might not mean anything. But she said she catches him looking at me quite a bit and said he never comes in when I'm not working. Considering I'm kind of a shy person, what's the best way to ask him out without being extremely embarrassed or nervous? My hands are sweating just thinking about it. And I'll just give you a quick overview of the comments before we go to the updates, and they were pretty much just ask him for coffee, ask him if he wants to see some of the sights of the city, all the usual good stuff. So it went on to the update which says, I have good news. As I mentioned in my original post, I normally work Friday mornings and he comes in for breakfast at the same time every Friday. Well, had the day off and decided to show up for breakfast at the same time as him. It worked out perfectly. I sat down in the area where he always sits and waited. About 10 minutes later, he walked in the door and saw me sitting down ordering breakfast. He came up to me and looked a little puzzled because I wasn't wearing my uniform. He asked if I had the day off and I said yes. He said, "That sucks, you're my favorite waitress." I also did my hair and put on some cute clothes that morning, and he noticed because he complimented me and said I looked really pretty. I could feel my face getting hot. I probably turned 10 shades of red, lol. Next thing I know, he asked if he could sit at my table with me. I was so nervous. Guys never give me butterflies, but he gives them to me all the time. But I acted totally normal and not tried to be a dork. Lol. Normally I'm very shy around him, but he made me feel comfortable and was super easy to talk to. We sat and talked for a while before our breakfast came. It was so much fun. My manager was the one waiting on us, which she never does, but she's been encouraging me to make a move on him for quite a while. She was so happy for me. Anyway, I felt like he was giving me signals the entire time, which made me more confident. So I finally worked up the courage and asked if he'd like to hang out sometime, and he agreed. We swapped numbers and he's been texting and flirting with me a few times a day ever since. Since we've been texting, I've learned that we both enjoy hiking, so I suggested that we go hiking and check out an old lighthouse, which isn't too far from where we live. He just moved here, so he's never seen it before. We live on the Great Lakes, northern Michigan, so that's what we're planning on doing this weekend. When we were texting last night, he mentioned that he'd like to go to this fall festival, which is coming up in a couple of weeks, and wanted to know if I'd go with him. So I playfully said, "Are you asking me out on a date?" Hee. And he said, "Yes, will you please go with me?" I'm so excited. Thank you all for your help on my original post. You guys gave me a ton of great advice. I can't believe how easy this whole thing was. Now I see what men have to go through when it comes to asking women out. Anyway, thank you, Reddit. And of course, we have one more update from OP, which says, "It's been a couple of months since my last post, so I think you all deserve a happy update. First of all, thank you, Reddit. I sincerely mean that. I was just a shy girl with a crush on a handsome stranger, and to think that he's now my boyfriend is just nuts. I can't even describe how happy I am. 2 months ago, I left off by mentioning that I was going to take him on a date and show him around the area a little bit, since he just moved here. I talked about how we both love hiking, so I planned to take him to this lighthouse, which is only a short drive away from where we live. I was afraid it was going to rain, but it turned out to be the perfect day. We packed a little picnic and spent an afternoon hiking. I thought it was so romantic. We had a great time. Over the next couple of weeks, we continued to see each other and go on fun dates. I wanted to take things to the next level, so bad, but I wanted to wait to make sure he felt the same way about me. After a couple of weeks of dating, we were hanging out at his place one night, cuddling and watching a movie. That's when he finally asked if we could be exclusive. It was the best night, so we've been in an exclusive relationship for a couple of months now, but I feel like I've known him forever. We just click. Anyway, he has a huge family and they had Thanksgiving last weekend, which I was invited to. He begged me to come. I'm a shy person, so I was a little nervous, but they made me feel so welcome. His mother's a total sweetheart and his dad is hilarious. When we were leaving, I gave his parents hugs and his mum says to me, "You know, he talks about you all the time. He's like madly in love with you." My boyfriend was so embarrassed. I've never seen him get so red. Lol. I invited him to my family's Thanksgiving as well, and my family loved him, which was a huge relief because my dad hasn't liked any of my past boyfriends. But he immediately took a liking to him and had to show him around his shop because they're both into cars. It was so nice to finally bring a guy home that dad approves of, and of course my mum and aunts thought he was a hunk. Lol, I hadn't heard hunk in a while. Talk about awkward. Anyway, I just figured I'll let you know how the date went and that we're finally a couple. Thanks for all your help a couple of months ago when I wanted to ask him out. You guys really encouraged me, so thank you. And I'm going to admit, I enjoyed that story. You know, we cover a lot of stories that, just because of the type of subreddits that they are, they're always a lot of infidelity, traumas going on, and various things like that. So to see a post every once in a while where someone's just trying to figure out how to ask someone out and fumbling around dating and all that kind of thing, I think is pretty sweet. And I gotta say, I did enjoy that one. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, support, and time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for getting involved, truly. And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today